past, fatal heart impact, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember you're discreet now, get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now. Whenever we last left off with this series, we had Izuku Midoriya, and what he did to escape. Now, Midoriya was last seen howling at the moon, as he felt warmth rush all over his body, and it was just felt as calming fire. Now, with that, he also did give a doctor an ultimatum, infecting her with a thing virus and telling her that she can either swallow a bottle of pills or transform. And we did not see the end result of that. Now, we do have minutes later, where Midoriya, he's already taken off into a full-on sprint, and he's running. Him running on two legs, and swiftly picking up more and more speed, as he begins to start morphing his hands into claws, and his body does begin to take on a shape. Midoriya running faster and faster and faster, as he turns into what could be best described as looking like a skinless dog with bones protruding out of its back and intensely sharp claws. As Midoriya is running, and he's going pretty fast, leaping building to building as he's just flying throughout the air, feeling and enjoying the wind. Now, with that being said, there is one of Midoriya actually does leap off of a high building, and he is going down and is about to land on one. Now, Midoriya might have to do an acrobatic move to pull this off, so it's going to take a minute. Now, as Midoriya actually does go to move his body forwards to try and do a front flip, there is what does happen with his vision. He closes his eyes as he moves forwards, and he's back in the facility. He's somewhere else, as he can faintly hear voices. Subject is beginning to thaw, and subject is possibly conscious. Now, with that, Midoriya, he actually does feel it. This thing move around and look, as it just begins to start shrieking and trying to get free of its containment, as it is quickly sprayed and detained. Midoriya feeling that throughout his body, as he actually does slam into the side of the building and knock the wind out of himself. Him actually slamming his hand down on the other side of the wall, digging into the concrete as he just holds himself there, before being able to pull himself over with his arm, as he would slam back down and begin to start morphing back into a humanoid shape. Now, Midoriya would just lay there for a second on the roof, trying to regain his breath. Now, Midoriya is trying to think about it. Fuck. What was that? That's right. So preoccupied with freedom, I forgot that thing. It's still in me. What do I have to do to be free of it? Let's see. I don't think I can go home. Otherwise, they'll find me easily. Then again, they don't know I've escaped yet. From the information I gathered from everyone's minds, Roy closing his eyes, and sitting there for a second, trying to sort through all of it, a jumble of memories. And he actually is seeing things from the doctor's point of view. As there is the doctor, pain shooting throughout her face, and her muffled screams. As Midoriya is looking throughout her memories, and he can feel it. What he's searching for, focusing on that part of his brain. Now, Midoriya, he actually does open his eyes and come to a conclusion. The doctor, they were looking for him because he was nothing special. It's the entire reason why this experiment was made. And there's a problem. Certain doctors authorize this test to happen on a live subject. And whenever the results weren't what they expected, he was brought to the facility. So, that's it, isn't it? And then there's today. He was down there for a few months. I wonder what I missed. Midoriya just thinking. He can head home. But if he has to explain it to his mother, that's going to be the hard part. He's been gone for almost half a year. So, would she even really understand? Now, with that being said, we do have roughly a couple minutes later, where Inko, she is laying in her bed, and she's still pondering about where her baby is. One day up and vanishing. And that's it. It's that experiment, isn't it? He ran away to become a hero. She knew he would do something so reckless like this. He was acting strange lately. And she actually does hear something in the house. Now, with that, she does actually get up and begin to at least look around her room as she hears that noise again, wondering what it was. Now, eventually, it sounds like somebody has opened the front door of her apartment, and she can hear footsteps, as there's a commotion going on in the kitchen. Now, Inko, she does actually grab something that she can use as a weapon. Let's say a baseball bat Izuku had from whenever he was little. It's a bit smaller, but it does at least still work. And she actually does head out, holding it in one hand and at least trying to turn on the lights with the other one, telling the home intruder that she's armed, and that they should just leave before she calls pros. They're already on their way. Now then, Inko, she does actually see that the kitchen light is on. And then it would turn off. Inko actually freaking out, and almost running backwards into her own room, as she does actually see something move in the darkness. Before she hears something get set down on the table, and the chair being pulled backwards, as this mysterious person does sit down and pick up a fork, simply just beginning to eat. Inko quite startled by all this. Somebody just broke into her house for a meal? That's it? Who are you? What are you doing here? This being where Midoriya, he actually does hardly pay attention, still eating his food. Leftover food from the other day. Inko, she made them, and she made a bit too much. And, well, she has been trying to get better at her own diet. So, it's almost a full serving of food. Now then, with that being said, her eyes do somewhat adjust, and she's able to make out Izuku's somewhat shape. as Midoriya actually has turned to look at her, as he does actually set down his fork, moving and gesturing a certain way, shifting his leg outwards as if he's about to go and stand up, as he just says, "Hi, Mom." Her being taken aback, almost running up and hugging her son. However, she does actually just walk over and flip on the lights. "Izuku, where have you been? You've been gone for so long." The lights being flicked on, her turning and being horrified at what she does see. Izuku's body, and the way he looks. He's wearing what appears to be the remains of a shirt. And, well, there's the things on his face and body, along with the pants that are all torn and bloody. Nenko bringing her hands up to her mouth and almost screaming, as she does ask Midoriya if he's alright, and if she needs to take him to a hospital. He's covered in blood. Her just actually grabbing Midoriya by both of his shoulders, and almost shaking him. "Izuku, baby, are you alright? Are you alright? Are you alright?" Her calming down for a second, stepping backwards. Midoriya just slowly looking up at her. And his expression does seem cold and dead, as he just tells his mom that he's perfectly fine. These aren't his injuries. "Izuku, what do you mean? Then how are you?" "Mom, it's not my blood." Nenko almost horrified hearing those words. Now, Midoriya, he goes on to explain one simple thing. The experiment that she signed him up for, the one that he begged for. They did something to him. It wasn't an experiment to give him a quirk. Whatever they put inside his body, the thing they injected him with, it's not from Earth. And that he doesn't know what to even do, what to even really say. He just broke free and got out. "Izuku, baby, listen to me. We'll call the police. We'll call Pro Heroes. They can solve this entire situation. Mom, aren't you listening?" Midoriya would shout. Shouting that she doesn't understand anything at all. He just said the government did this. Pros? Cops? They aren't gonna listen. They're gonna think that he's crazy. Besides, if they know how he escaped, they would lock him in Tartarus themselves. Nenko's heart skipping a beat as she actually has turned to look at her son, whose expression went from cold to somewhat into a villainous smile, and his eyes did somewhat fill with a bit more hatred. Her asking Izuku exactly how did he get away then? And Midoriya would explain. He was on an operating table, and they just cut him open. And they just ripped out his heart, his lungs, and most of his other organs. They had the most trouble with his liver, because it just wouldn't budge. And, well, they talked about harvesting his own brain. That part, he can remember clear as day. Nenko, about to vomit at everything she's hearing. Midoriya is still having the scars and wounds to prove it, talking about how he sealed these up himself. As he actually would open his chest and Nenko would see the missing heart, tubes being in place into a small ball, as that thing in his chest isn't even beating. Now, Nenko just asked Izuku why did he even, well, come back here? I don't know. Mom, I'm going to be running for a while. Running. Just like I've ran from everything. Problems, bullies. I thought an experiment to give me a quirk would help. Nenko watching her son, who seems to be having a nervous breakdown. Now, this is when Inko would just say that they can take him to a doctor. Midoriya almost actually picking Inko up by her shirt, as he does hold her in the air for a second. As she actually does watch his arms begin to morph and reveal muscle fibers, along with what could be described as armor and bone, as that could be described as his weaponized mode, or his weapon adaptation. Midoriya actually letting go of his mother, as he does take 2 steps backwards and grab onto his arm, telling his mother that he doesn't need a doctor. The last thing he needs is more doctors. He's not going back on the table. Not again. And they won't try those experiments. They won't. Midoriya describing some of the things they did to him. And Inko, she actually does just, well, topple over. Her fainting. Now, with that being said, Midoriya does just pick her up and place her back into her room, as he would walk away, taking a shower and putting on a fresh set of clothes, and packing up some things in a bag. As then there is an idea he does have. His mom is going to wonder if that was a dream or not. So, Midoriya just walking over and grabbing his door, as he would close it and morph his finger into somewhat of a bone claw, as he presses it against the door and begins to start carving something. Now, this is whenever he would leave, after he is done. And he just begins to wonder, where can he go? And what is he going to do? Now, as Midoriya is leaving, we do currently have somebody who they've been quite frustrated. And they've just been having some problems lately, as they are walking back up the stairs. Now, as that does happen, Izuku, he does walk downstairs. Him wearing a hoodie that does cover his entire head and covers parts of his face. Midoriya making a mask to cover the rest, out of bone. As Bakugo, he actually has smashed Midoriya's shoulder on the way up. Bakugo moving backwards and at least turning around to try and face Midoriya. Hey asshole, aren't you gonna at least apologize? Midoriya barely even looking up, before he does just turn. And Bakugo does see the mask covering his face. Who are you? I haven't seen you around here before. Him just turning and holding up his hand, as he does actually take one step to his right and put his hand on the side rail before just turning and putting his back on it. As he sits on it, Bakugo confused, as Midoriya would bring up one finger, and Bakugo just watches. Midoriya's hand morphing red as he falls backwards. Bakugo completely stunned by the entire encounter. And he actually just run over and look over the side. There's no one there. What the fuck was that? Who was that guy? Wait. No. It couldn't be. That's absurd. Jesus, Bakugo. Your imagination's getting the better of you, man. You really do need to sleep. Bakugo heading back up, as we do have the next morning, where the facility, they do try and get a report, and there's no response. And a team is sent out, them finding what does remain. and taking something in particular that does still stay in the facility. The facility was quite fortunate to have certain protocols in place in an event like this. The subject is dead, yes, but he left vital components behind that will aid in their success. So, they would deem it as Midoriya is pronounced dead, and they would want to at least falsify a police report in a body. However, there actually is at Inko's household, where investigators did show up and falsely report on what happened. Now, they are really just undercover, trying to find evidence if Izuku Midoriya was here. As Inko does actually walk into his room, the door is wide open, and she does look around. Nothing looks out of place. And then there was that horrible nightmare she had last night. Now, the men here actually do leave after they inspect the room and do not find anything. In fact, this is just a normal teenager's room, isn't it? Kid's a bit of a fanboy. Whatever. Now, this is whenever we do have Inko. After the men do leave, she does actually walk back into Izuku's room. And she does actually close the door behind her. Before she just look around. I must have misplaced a few things. Then again, I don't ever move the All Might merch. I do need a dust, however. Especially if he's going to come home soon. They're going to find him. Now, she would then turn around, and her eyes immediately widen, looking to see what's carved on the back of the door. As there is just very few words said. Sorry, don't try to find me. And Inko does drop onto her knees, realizing that last night wasn't a dream. It was a nightmare. Now then, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing night. I will catch you guys in the next part.